about grimoires and spell books and journals and talk about the differences. Now, if you have ever heard the term grimoire or spell book or even book of shadows, and you don't know what the difference is and you want to figure out which one is right for you, then I'm going to help you figure that out today. And so if you would like, I have conversations like these all the time over in my school community that is called Awaken Your Magic. I'd love to have you come over there. It's free to join. And that would be great if you want to keep having these conversations. But back to journals, grimoires, and spell books. And I've gone back and forth a lot on whether it's grimoire or grimoire. And I've gone to so many different, like how to pronounce. I landed on grimoire because it just, I don't know, it feels a little snooty when I'm like, oh, grimoire, because, it's based on a French word. I'm not French. Most people here pronounce it with the R sound in it. So by the end of this tutorial, and it might be a short one, although I do have lots of show and tell today. So, because I am definitely, like, I had come to the conclusion a couple of weeks back that my hobby was collecting crafting supplies, but now I realize that I've got a secondary hobby of collecting journals and different things to write in. And I have gotten to some of them, but I have a lot that I haven't gotten to yet. But this is not really about the books, even though I am going to show you all the books. It's really about how you are recording things and what you want to record and in what way you want to record it. So just as quick little definitions, and I'm going to get into a little more detail in a bit, but a journal is something where you record your experiences. You write about what happened today, or you jot something down that struck you as interesting or unusual. Your grimoire is really a book that is about tracking your magical journey. And so you are going to have spells in there. You're going to have different observations that you made. I think in one of my grimoires, I've got some bad poetry. But it really does track where you've been spiritually. Now, a spell book is a little bit different in that it is just a gathering of spells. It's like a cookbook, and you can organize it in different categories and that kind of thing. There are a lot of spell books out there. I don't keep one myself because I kind of use my grimoire as like a dual. It's like my spell book along with my magical journal. So I use those together. Hey, so welcome.
I got my time zones mixed up.
Good, it's all good.
So I was just going over some of the definitions of journal and grimoire and spell book. So to me, a spell book is less effective than a grimoire because it's just a grouping of spells. And frankly, like there are lots of spell books out there. This is the Book of Forbidden Knowledge, and it came out in 1910. And it's just, a bunch of different gathering of spells. This one is called The Secrets of High Magic, which came out in 2000. And I didn't even realize it. I've got a first edition of it. And this is there's more alchemy in this one. There's more symbolism. There's more correspondences. It's a really interesting book. It's by Francis Melville. Now, y'all know that I think that the Book of Psalms is a spell book, and I will stand by that. And I think when I was creating spells, I said I was going to put out the Psalms that I use, and I didn't. I'll have to get to that. This is the Petit Albert, and this was originally published in the 18th century. And historically, traditionally, spell books were something that they were published. They were authority books. We're not going to be talking a lot about those because there's so many of them. I've got, this is the Key to Solomon, that was, by King Solomon. This is one called The Gospel of Witches, Aradia. And it was, I don't remember when this one was. This is an older one as well. So, and I always find grimoires interesting to me personally, because at the sort of end of the 18th century and the beginning of end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century, Chicago, where I am, was like the grimoire publishing hub of the world. And so it's just kind of cool. And there's, a huge publishing industry here now as well. This little one, this is just a spell book. Spells and Charms. Sorry, it's backwards. But I got this from the Museum of Witchcraft and Magic in Cornwall. And these are historical spells. And it's a fun little book. I like supporting the museum. Now, you could do something like this. 5,000 spells. I like this for sort of doing a little research, and then I craft my own spells. This is by a woman named Anne Mora, and it is Grimoire for the Green Witch. And if you want to know a lot more about grimoires, this book is an excellent one. It's called Grimoires by Owen Davies, who is an excellent scholar, and it goes like deep dive into the history of grimoires and how they were historically used and how they were, how people would get them and all of that. Now, I do have another thing that is fun, because when we're talking about our spell book, again, we're talking about a personalized version of it. I've got this little book. It's called The Spell Creator, and it gives you tons of different ideas for essential oils or herbs or color correspondences. And it's sort of, one of those things where you pick and choose the ingredients that you need for your own spell book. And so it's a lot of information. Now, my favorite spell book, and I still can't believe that this went on for so long. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, which is the Voynich manuscript. And it is a book. Let me get to a good page. It's basically, this is a reproduction, obviously. This is a book that has, lots of different correspondences, lots of different plants that are drawn out. I'm going to find something other than a plant. But it was around, and it was in a language, a dead language. And so for the longest time, people were like, we don't know what it is. And the first time I looked at it, it was, somebody did figure out a translation a few years back, and they're like, oh, it's a spell book. And I'm like, you think? You think that it's like, I don't know if you can see that. But it's sort of, I'm trying to see if I'm getting it right. But it's like, how did you all miss that this was a spell book? It's got the different moon phases and stars and a bunch of plants. And everyone's like, we don't know what it is. We can't possibly tell what it is. Okay.
Because we burned all the witches.
Yeah, exactly. But then, I think somebody was it in Turkey? A couple of years back was like, oh, I finally cracked the code on this language and translated it, and it's a spell book. Okay. So anyway, back to, yes, those are not my journals yet. We're going to get to that in a minute. So there's no real system, right? You can go out, you can buy a book of spells and try them. And if you want to do that, that's fine. There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of books that are exactly like that. They are spell recipe books. Now, if you're talking about, let's start with journals. This one is my current journal, a little sticker, a little flower. And this is just me like writing out, here's what happened today. Here's what's going on for me right now. I've got, and I just fill these up. I just go on and on with these. My current one is not lined, which I like better. But yeah, it's just me talking about what I'm doing. I also have this one, which is my travel journal. And I use it specifically for that. And I have, no, those are not journals. So yeah, those were like, those are my journals, which are really just writing about what is happening to me in my day-to-day life. I typically write out in full sentences, and I'm just like, here's what's going on. Sometimes I write about what I'm experiencing with my different working of magic, but it's not a comprehensive, it's just sort of a day in the life kind of look. So things that you might put in a journal, again, maybe it's your daily reflections of what's going on. You might write down your dreams if you want to remember them. You might write down your experiences in rituals, or you want to capture some symbolism or synchronicity that happened. Questions that you're wondering about that you want to revisit later when you've had some experiences and you want to come back and say, what was I thinking? What was I wondering about? Your emotions, your observations, what you've tried. It's just, a lot of people journal, and I think that I'm just sort of going through it to differentiate it from what the grimoires are. Oh, thank you, Jill, for putting the link to my community there in the comments. So my journals, oh, one more journal. This one is specifically for capturing thoughts that I have, quotes that I hear that are, cool, that I want to remember. A lot of call the midwife quotes in here. And I used it a lot when I was researching my book, because it just helped me sort of capture things that I didn't have a category for yet. And so, yes, so that's, and again, whatever you want to put in your journal, put in your journal. Like I said, I've got bad poetry in mine as well. So
I write things that my kids have said to me that's really cute, and or when they've like mispronounced stuff. Or I was looking back the other day because I saw you say about going back and reading your journals, and the answers have probably always been in there, and I never go back and read them. So I was flicking through that after seeing your note, and I found an entry in there when my daughter called me medium fat. And she said to me, you're not, she said, yeah, you're just medium fat size, she said to me when she was 4. And I was like, oh, do you know what? I'm so glad I wrote that down.
That's really interesting. I've gone back to my journals from high school, which 0 out of 10, do not recommend. I was obsessed with boys. It was all the vapid stuff that you are when you're a teenager. But it was, I will say, very humbling. So it definitely is keeping me humble. But the one journal that I did go back to and made a significant change in my life, this is my second travel journal. And my first travel journal, I had filled it up, and well, no, I didn't fill it up. I was writing it, and I was like, oh yeah, I haven't looked at this in a while, and I was getting ready for a trip, and so I pulled it out, and as I'm flipping through, it's like, oh, I was unhappy with that dude from day one. Then you get to the next, boyfriend. I'm like, wow, I was really unhappy with that dude. Right? And so it sort of was this, inspiration for me to be like, what is the common denominator between those guys, because I was happy for a long time and I didn't realize it in the moment. And I started paying more attention to what actually made me happy. So that definitely did change how I looked at the world. Because what it helped me to notice was not whether or not I was happy, it was more, it helped me notice the pattern. And I was like, yeah, how can I go and look at where the commonalities are between these guys? Why do I pick guys that I'm clearly unhappy with, and make some changes in my life? So it can be super useful to go back and look at those journals. Now, the next thing is grimoires. And as I said earlier, grimoires are your magical journey. And so it's not like a diary, like a journal is. It's more like a combination of your magical workings and your history of where you've been. And so it doesn't proceed like a spell book would. It's not like, here are abundant spells. Here are, it is just as you go, you capture things. And I know you've all seen my cow print grimoire. I try and keep it fairly neat in here when I talk about it. But it's really sort of like what's happening magically for me. And now I will show, and this one, let's see, this one was one that I was using when yeah.
How often do you write in your journals?
My
do you
journal,
have like a daily practice or?
My actual, like my just day-to-day journal, I try and write in every day. Sometimes I miss days. Yeah, I find it like, when I'm transitioning from my work day to my evening, that is like the moment where I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to journal about what's on my mind right now. And so I know a lot of people like to start their day journaling because it kind of helps them, but I like to capture what's been going on, and it's just fresher in my mind in that sort of transition. And then I can relax that I have captured whatever was important to me that day, and I can enjoy my evening. So that's kind of what I do. Do you guys journal?
Yeah, I do. I set an intention in the morning, like I will write down my intention for the day, but I'll journal nearly every evening, because for me there's something about, especially with like ADHD, physically taking from what's in my mind. Like I feel like I'm emptying my mind, and I quite often use it for an evidence log for things that I've done, particularly when we're thinking about good girl conditioning, when I've done something, when I've said, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Or, when I've put myself first, I will start to create that little evidence log that, I can do it. And I feel, whether there's any science in this or not, I feel that in terms of like rewiring the neural pathways and stuff, there must be something in it where I'm like putting that evidence down that I did that and it was okay, it was safe. So I try and do every day. And I can probably notice when I definitely don't sleep as well, when I don't.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I think I forgot about it. Now, here it is. I also used to have a practice where I would, in the morning, I would set 2 or 3 intentions as well, and I would write them down, and then revisit them either later that day or the next day to see how I was feeling. I don't know why I dropped off this practice, because it was really helpful for me to keep focusing on just moving forward in my life and being successful. So maybe I'll have to pick that back up.
There's this amazing thing that I do in the morning. This little book here, it's got 99, it's belief repatterning, which is one of the modalities that I work with, and it's got 1,000 high frequency words, and you'll use muscle testing to find a word of the day. So you will ask, is it at the, I do the human compass, so back and forward. So you'll ask, is it at the back of the book? Yes or no? Is it page 1, 2, 3? And then you'll find that page, find the word, and then you think about, I don't know, the word there. influence, and how can you bring that into your day? So, and then journal on that at the end of the day, and how you've brought more of that word in. I love doing that, and I've also fallen a bit slack on that, so I'm gonna start that again.
That's really interesting. The most of the muscle testing that I've done is like the, you know, having a practitioner like push down on your arm, and that was what my allergist did to find out what I was reactive to.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool. She would run an electrical impulse. Like I was strapped to this computer, and she would send an electrical impulse into me, and then she'd muscle test to see if I was reactive to that. But the practice you're talking about is so interesting because it's very much like a spell, right? It's bibliomancy, you know, and it's just opening up a book and seeing, you know, but you're doing it in a more informed way. It's not just like spirit is going to lead me to the right page, right? It's saying I'm going to work with spirit to lead me to the right page. So I love that. So that's in a way that's a spell book as well, right?
Oh, I'm going to call it my spell book now. I call it the magic book, but I'm going to call it the spell book. I love that.
What is the name of it again?
Belief repatterning. The lady that does it is called Suze Casey. She's Canadian. I'll talk to you guys about it more another day, but an amazing modality. It's made some real changes to my life. So yeah.
Very cool. I like that a lot.
Evelyn says she used muscle testing to figure out she had gluten intolerance.
Wow,
muscle testing is a thing, and it's very effective.
You can use it to find out what, am I thirsty? Yes. No. Am I hungry? What do I need? What does my body need? That's a really cool way to use it as well.
So do you just stand still and ask your question and see which direction your body naturally moves?
Yeah, so just stand, ground yourself. Most people go forward for yes, backwards for no, but you can start by saying, is my name Tracy? And then you'll go forward, and then you'll know that that's your yes. Is my name Sophie? You go backwards, and then you know that that's your no. And that's the easiest way that I find to do it. There are other ways you can test on yourself, but that's the best way that I find.
So it's basically using yourself as a pendulum.
Yeah, some people call it a human pendulum. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. I like that.
But not everybody goes the same way, because my yeses are backwards.
Yes, so totally that's why you are you, of course.
Well, and that's why you program a pendulum, right? You start by asking questions that you know the answer to, and you see what is your yes, what is your no, what is your maybe. And so everybody's different. I mean, there's only so many ways the pendulum can go, but I know what my three are, and so it's, that's how I use it. Okay, so back to the grimoire, and now I'm going to show you my secret shame. This book.
Wow.
I love this book so much, but I'm scared to use it.
Oh, I thought it was going to have some calligraphy or something beautiful in there, but
it is going to. One day it will, but yeah. But instead, I'm using like this. This is essentially my work journal, where work stuff happens and I want to remember, or I do a pre-interview with someone that I'm going to interview for the podcast or whatever, and like that's what I use, not this gorgeous book that I love so much and spent a ridiculous amount of money on. But yes, so that is my secret shame. Now you all know. Now I can't be blackmailed with this information anymore. Okay, so what are you putting in your grimoire? You can put in correspondences that are personal to you. You can put in ritual outlines. You can observe the moon or the stars and jot down how you feel about it. You can do, oh, I didn't pull out, I have an herb journal as well. My God, I've got a lot of journals. And this was for when I was studying herbalism, and I would, draw the herb out and then talk about its uses, its properties, and its correspondences. You can put in notes about herbs, crystals, your personal symbols. You can start to record your personal symbols. You can, if you're doing divination, you can put down what it is that you were divining for and how it ended up, like what it was. You could put down, Soph, your word of the day that you choose for that. If you're doing seasonal practices, go ahead, Jill.
I was going to say, I wonder if making a sigil out of your word of the day, I wonder what impact that would have.
That's a really interesting idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Do
that.
it and report back.
I will.
Did you
assignments.
You do sigils? Are you? Because I do have there's a tutorial that is out there that Jill and I had a hands-on session a while back, and so it's like, here's how you make a sigil.
Yeah, I have done them before, but it's not something that I use routinely, and it's one of those things that I say I always want to do more of. So that would be a really good routine to get into, actually.
Yeah, that's really
creative.
Cool. And I also think that in your grimoire, you should be putting your observations about what happened in your different, if you're doing spell work or any kind of ritual, like here's how it went. Because you are in an ongoing way, just like the journal captures your life in an ongoing way. You want to be able to look back and be like, oh yeah, I used to do this ritual like this. Or, oh yeah, I tried these crystals and here's how effective that ritual was. And so I think that, and even like, I will go back and look and think to myself, oh, I have 100% been forgetting to do this part of that ritual, and it's like, oops, but it does, it helps you track your progress. And you know what the whole joke about people with a magical practice is, at first, like, you have to have all the, correct, crystals and, like set it up in a grid and do all of this and light the right color candle. And then, like, after you've been practicing for a while, you're just like,
doing it on a microwave plate.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, that is a very effective.
I know. I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Okay. And so, if you're not doing that, if you're not recording how it went, what you observed, what you change in the future, maybe, then you're just writing a spell book, right? And it's just an unorganized one. And I think, I keep going back to my travel thing, but this particular one, I like this book because it's a 3-ring or 6-ring. And so I can take out pages. And so I would use a book like this if I was just creating my own personal spell book, because then I can reorganize them into whatever categories make sense for me.
That's a good idea.
But, yeah. Okay, so what goes in the spell book? And I think this is a less effective tool than the grimoire. But I mean, obviously, completed spells, you can put in scripts for rituals that you've created for yourself. Maybe you want to put in prayers or blessings or different incantations that you like. You could put sigils in here, right? Or you're going to put in, whatever workings that you do. You're going to capture them so you can reference them back. Maybe you want to copy something out of one of the 11 billion books that I showed you that are spell books. And then, maybe you alter it to say, well, here's what my correspondence would be. Here's what color I think, goes with that. And so I think that it's fairly straightforward what each of them are for, but just so we can, I want you to think for these things, where would you put them? Would it be in a journal, a grimoire, or a spell book? Okay, first thing, you had a dream about some crows.
I would put it in
Journal.
my grimoire, because I feel like I would want to note it. Like, what does that crow mean? Why? Yeah. I don't
Okay,
know.
and it's interesting that, I mean, it's perfectly fine to have two different answers, right? This is your work. This is your where you would. I personally would put it in my journal. Okay, a candle spell that you work for gaining confidence.
Spell book.
Okay.
Yeah,
What about you,
with
Jen?
spell book too.
Um, let's see. A reflection on the full moon, on the night of a full moon.
Grimoire.
I don't really understand the difference between a grimoire and a journal or a spell book because they're all going to be the same for me.
Well, okay,
I
so
feel like a grimoire is if a spell book and a journal had a baby.
yep,
Yeah, there you go.
agree.
So we'll just call it a grimoire.
Yeah,
Grimoire
and
can be D, all of the above.
yeah, I think that really a grimoire is focused on magical stuff more than the mundane, and a journal is more the mundane, which can you put in your mundane stuff in your grimoire? Again, I don't know your life. Do what you want. But it's.
I'm going to get that tattooed on me one day.
So yeah, I mean, I do think it's a combination of the two, which is why I don't feel like spell books are all that effective, because again, you might as well just go, it's a recipe book, it's a magical recipe book. So I don't have one, I don't maintain one. I do, as you have seen, I do like to create different journals for very specific things. The one that I have that I'm currently using is just like my day-to-day life, got in a disagreement with this person and it sucked, or that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that the real distinction is that it's your history, but it's your magical history, and it's remembering your magic, as opposed to just putting it. You could put all of that in a journal and call it your journal, and then write about your mundane and your magical, and not have it focused that way. I did want to say one thing that I didn't mention earlier. I had talked about, I had mentioned Book of Shadows, but I didn't give you what that specific phrase means. And a lot of people, like, you'll see it, they've got it on Charmed and different magical shows. They talk about their Book of Shadows. Basically, the Book of Shadows is a grimoire, but it is specific to Wicca. And so it became popularized when, they were creating Wicca back in the day. And what was that, in the 50s, 60s? I know they did the Wheel of the Year in the 50s. But yeah, so that's why when you hear Book of Shadows, it's a grimoire. It's just one that is a very specific practice. And I'm not Wiccan, so I don't know all that much about what the rules are. Okay. Now,
what is the difference between Wiccan and witchcraft?
Wiccan is a specific tradition with specific rules. So I would think of that as like a religion, because it is a practice that has, specific spells, specific rituals, specific rules that you have to follow. Like they've got the read of three, which is, threefold. Like whatever magical work you do, it's going to come back at you threefold. So be careful if you're doing baneful magic or whatever it is that you're doing. And so I think that like witchcraft, as opposed to Wicca, is a practice. It's not as much of a religion, and it is personalized. A lot of people talk about chaos magic. Really, all that chaos magic is, in my mind, it's the same as saying magic because it's bringing together different traditions. So there will be people that say, "Oh, I'm a kitchen witch," right? And they do their magic in the kitchen. They incorporate their cooking into their magic. But a lot of people call themselves eclectic, and that just means you draw from different kinds of belief systems. Like for me personally, I don't really identify as a witch per se, but if I had to define it, I would say I am a kitchen green hedge witch. So that makes me eclectic, right? But those are the things that I focus on in my practice, right? I like to garden and I like to cook and I like to be outside in nature. And so those seem to resonate more with me. And that's, I think, how you find out what you would call your practice, if you want to call yourself a witch, is like, what do you like? Do you like the sea? Maybe, you're a water witch or a sea witch. I personally have aspirations when I grow old to fade away and become a forest hag. That is my dream, is to just be off in the forest, and the children from the village nearby are afraid and whisper about me. That is my great aspiration.
The lady in the woods, yeah.
Exactly. And then, like, young people come sneak out to me looking for love spells, right? Like, that's living the dream right there. That is definitely living. I think Jill throws up, or she thinks I'm not amusing at all.
I think she's frozen, yeah.
So anyway, just to wrap it all up. So your journal, and maybe this will answer a little bit more of Jill's question. Your journal tells the story of who you were, right? Your grimoire preserves what you've learned and records your magical path. And your spell book is just a collection of magic recipes that you've created. And you might want all three. You might want to do what I do and have journals for specific things. And you might want to, pick up a journal that you haven't looked at in years and review it. So yeah, you might have 20 journals. What do I have? 8, and I don't use them. Yeah. Well, that's not counting the ones that I haven't started using yet. Yeah, I don't even want to count all the blank ones I have. And I do, like I said, I mean, I will use whatever you have, right? This is just a sketchbook I got at the, secondhand bookstore. And so it was cheap. And that's, my most used thing that I have. If you want to have a little bit more direction, you don't know what it is that you are supposed to be writing down, and you feel uncomfortable about, like, what do I put in there? I do have, and you'll find it in my community, and Jill had dropped the link in earlier. I have something called the Magical Traveler's Companion. And so what it is, it's about 125 pages, and it has reflections, it has places for you, and it's a, download printable kind of thing. And it's got pages that you can like write in, record your thoughts. There's pages for spells, there are pages for rituals. And so if you want a little bit more direction, you can go jump into my school community and get that. And it's definitely, you can use all the pages, you can use one of the pages multiple times, whatever it is. So if you do feel like you still need more direction, that's available to you. And again, thanks, Soph. Yes, that is my school community. It's free to join. So if you want to jump over there, that's great. I love to keep having the conversation, or you can just keep coming back here. So thanks. Jill, I know you're not here anymore, but thank you for being here. Any other thoughts or questions before we go, Soph?
What are your thoughts on like, I don't do this because I'm very much, I still have a paper diary. I don't even use a digital diary. But what are your thoughts on like digital journaling? Because I see a lot of people move into like Notion and things. Do you think it matters where you're writing it down, or?
I don't. I don't think it matters energetically that you write it down unless you like doing that. But yeah, I think it's about capturing it. Like my dream journal that I have, I just open up my notes app on my phone and I record them there because I don't want to have to like turn on the lights
Yeah.
and then I'm like awake and if I don't capture them right away, then I lose them. You always lose them, right? If you
I've
don't
started
like.
voice noting mine straight away as soon as I wake up, and that's been the best because I forget them so fast.
Right, and even if you remember sort of the basics of it, there's so much detail that you can get right when you record it. So that's where my dream journal goes, is just straight into my phone, and then I go back and look and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about all of that. And I tend to have dreams that are, I tend to go back to places a lot in my dreams. And like there's this one particular, it's like a mall, which is apparently not that unusual. But I go back to that. And those are usually dreams like I've put my purse down and walked away from it. Hey, Jill. And so, like, it's those kinds of dreams. Sometimes there's a particular hotel that I go to. Thank you, Jill. Um, and so but like the details are always different. Like I'll have, a boyfriend, but I'm in this mall again, or I'll go to a different part of the mall. And a lot of people say that is, yeah, Jill, we saw that you froze, and I was telling a joke at the time, and well, either Jill has frozen up or she does not think I am funny at all. Um, so, but yeah, a lot of people think that that's astral traveling when you go back to the same place over and over. And so, but again, that's an interesting way to capture patterns, right? And like for a long time, I'd be like, oh yeah, that sort of felt like this other dream. And then when I would capture them and I'd start talking about the details, feel free to laugh at me, Jill. I know I do all the time. But I like didn't realize it was the same place until I started like doing that and capturing those details. I knew it was the same feeling. But yeah, so I think that if you want to capture it, it feels natural for you to capture it electronically. That's great, as long as you've captured it, really. I like writing down. I like having a physical book. But not everybody does, and it's not always easy to do like when you're out and about. And so, it is the observing and the capturing of it so you can revisit it later that I think is the important part.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, well, thanks, Soph, for being here. Thanks for Jill for being here. And thanks everybody else for showing up and listening. And as I said, if you want to continue the conversation, join me over in my school community. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. I'm off to journal.
Good.
Bye.